For feast tables and long tables, one tablecloth should be spread over another tablecloth opposing the door. So far, we have learned how to use materials to give excellent service. Now it's time for table services in different types of service plates. If you have put the tables in their places before opening the service, have put the tablecloths on the tables, have placed the chairs as they touch the hems of the tablecloth, have put the service dishes about a finger's length from the edge of the table, centering the chair, have set the dishes as their angles facing 12 o'clock, have placed the forks, knives and spoons on both sides of the plates as the ones used with the right hand on the right side and the ones used with the left hand on the left side, and, as their ends are finger's length from the edge of the table, have placed the forks pointing up and the knives as their sharp side facing the service plate. That means you have successfully completed the preliminary work of an excellent service. What needs to be on the table will vary according to the kind of setting you're serving. Now, let's have a look at different kinds of settings and the attentiveness they require. If we are preparing an a la carte setting, a tablecloth, a service plate, a napkin, a large fork, a knife, a bread plate, butter knives, a water glass, a seasoning set, a vase, and a chandelier can be found on the table according to the principles of the enterprise. If we are preparing a table d'hôte setting, there could be found a tablecloth, a service plate, a napkin, an appropriate fork, knife, and spoon set, a water glass, a seasoning set, a vase, and a chandelier on the table according to the principles of the enterprise. While you are preparing the setting, you should not forget to place the fork, knife, and spoon set that is going to be used first to the outward. The fork, knife, and spoon set that is going to be used lastly to the inward. In other words, you should prepare the setting inside-out flow. In order not to encounter any problems during the feast, the best thing for a supervisor to do is to set up a sample setting and show it to the service staff. Reservation of banquet feasts should be made in a written agreement by filling up a reservation form in advance. The important thing here is to set prices for alternative menus and to make preparations for feast lounges and table orders. When preparing a feast, the food should be the kind that they could be prepared in advance and kept for some time. You need to consider the time and theme of the feast, ages, religious beliefs and habits of diet of the guests. Seating arrangements should be made according to the type of feast. If the distribution of tasks have been made in advance, tools and equipment have been cleaned and polished, tables and chairs have been put in their position according to the plan, tablecloths have been properly placed on the tables have been set according to the menu, guest members have been put according to the seating plan, plans have been placed for decoration, preparations such as light and sound has been done by the technical service, dance floor, cake area, and placement of the orchestra has been set according to the floor plan, space for the buffet has been set, heating elements and room temperature has been checked. That means you have prepared an impeccable feast. Congratulations! You have successfully handled another feast meal and you're probably very tired. But our training is not yet over. What's coming up next is the types of menus. Let us take a look at those delicious menus together. The table d'hôte menu is a restricted menu with a number of foods and it can be repeated periodically till the season changes. The guests don't have a choice of food with a table d'hôte menu. A la carte menu literally means according to the menu. It covers more than table d'hôte menus do, and the guests can choose their own food. With an a la carte menu, first the order is taken, and then the food is prepared. What about breakfast menus? Breakfast menus are classified as continental, English, American, and Turkish. according to the types of food and beverages they contain. No matter what type of breakfast we prepare, we should always remember to place hot water, tea, bread toaster, bread and pastries, freshly squeezed fruit juices, concentrated drinks first in the breakfast hall. We should not forget to check the preparations at the restaurant and the service stations. As soon as the guest arrives, we are supposed to tend to the guest and bring the food and beverage before they get cold. Apart from the menus mentioned before, there are other types of menus. The ones served late at night is called supper menu. The ones with light food and served between lunch and dinner is called afternoon tea menu. The ones delivered to the guests in their rooms is called room service menu. Feast menu is also called banquet menu. We should always keep in mind that the menu cards, which include the food and beverage served, should be kept clean and organized, and also the old cards should be replaced with the new ones. Now, everything is ready. It's time for greeting our guests and presenting our table. If you know our guests' names, we can call them with their first and the last names. If we don't, do say, Sir, Madam. Make an eye contact and smile. If the organization makes reservations, we need to find out whether they have it. If they do, we ask for their reservation names and accompany them towards the table. After taking the guests to a clean and prepared table, we help them to be seated by pulling the chair out for them. After introducing the guests to their server, we wish them to spend a good time and leave the table. The servers should speak and act in the same manner. While serving, our position is very important. We should not intervene the guests sitting next to each other and talking. If there's no chance to reach them, we should service without disturbing the guests after asking for permission. We shouldn't disturb them by getting too close. Leave some space between you and the guest and approach the guest from the right side with the right foot or from the left side with the left foot. Greet the guest with a smile and sincere gestures. Present the first page already opened menu to the guest from their right side. If the enterprise serve appetizers and the guests are willing, we serve the appetizers first and give the menu afterwards. The children are always served first, then the elderly, then the women, and finally the men. While guests are looking at the menu, we can serve the water, bread, and butter. Now, let's take a detailed look at water and bread service. While serving water, we should have a paper napkin in our left hand and pour the water from the right side of the guest. While passing to the next guest, wipe the excess water from the pitcher. If we serve the water from a bottle, we first open the bottle inside of the guest. When pouring from a bottle or a pitcher, don't touch the glass and don't fill it to the rim. We serve the bread from the left in bread baskets or service plates. Bread should be placed on a service plate with a flat or an inverted tongue, depending on the bread type, and after the service is finished, the tongue should be put back in the basket. By the way, let us remind you of how you can use the tongue. When serving with the tongue, you should be careful so as not to spoil the shape of the food. Use a flat tongue for sliced foods and inverted tongues for round foods. If you're serving foods with sauces, use the spoon part of the tongue to serve the sauce. And when serving pureed foods, take the food with a spoon first and then scrape the food with a fork onto the plate. After remembering all these necessary pieces of information, we can take the order. When taking an order, we always face the guests. Try to remember the selling techniques and don't bend over to the table or chair. Do not forget to repeat the order to be certain. After taking the food and beverage order, we can start serving. When we realize the guest is done, you can excuse yourself and take the empty plates, and then you can set the utensils to serve the second round of food. Serve hot foods on a hot plate and cold foods on a cold plate. If there are garnishes or sauces, don't forget to serve it with the food. Don't also forget to clear off the crumbs after the main course. Now, we can serve the dessert. After the dessert is finished, we can take away the empty plates and start serving coffee or liquors. Now has arrived the coffee. This has been an excellent dinner service. We can take the payment when the guest asks for the bill or when we realize they don't want anything else. The tab kept during the meal should be checked over before handing the bill to the guest. The bill should be put on the table from the right side of the guest. The guests might also want to eat in their room instead of restaurant. The guests who prefer room service can place their order by phone to an order taker with the help of an in-room menu. After taking the order by phone, you can send the foods with room service personnel. Once you get the tray or the cart until the door of the room, check the room number with the one on the bill, and then knock on the door to get permission and enter the room. We place the service cart in the middle of the room, by the window or near the bed on request of the guest, and we may serve if asked. Then we have the guest sign the bill. Before leaving the room, do say, "Enjoy your meal." Later on, give the bill to the order taker. Each alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages served to the guests in hotels have specialized service methods. Let us start with fresh tea to warm up a little. While serving tea, we should cover the tray with a cloth, prepare the pots for service and serve sugar, hot water, or milk on request. Do not forget to put the pots on the table mat after the service. For the coffee service, you should put a cloth on the tray first and then the coffee pot, hot milk pot, cream pot, and sugar. You should serve from the right. Try not to touch the pot to the cups and do not fill the cup to the rim. When serving mineral water or soda, place the glasses on the table on the right of the guest first, and then open the bottle with a bottle opener on side of the guest. After filling the glass from the right side of the guest, place the bottle to the right where the guest can easily have access to. Beer should be served at 6 to 7 degrees in a chilled glass. Be careful so as not to foam too much. At wine service, clean the bottle first. Put a folded napkin in your left hand and hold the wine in your right hand as the label can be seen. Present the wine to the guest first and then pour a little from the right side. We wait for the guest to taste the wine and then pour the correct amount of wine according to its type. When the service is done, if there is any left over, place the bottle back on the garridon. If not, place it on the nearest servant desk. Raki is served with water or soda in a raki glass, gin with tonic water, ice and lemon slices, whiskey with water or soda, tequila with salt and lemon. Vodka should be served cold and plain. Beverages that help digestion like cognac should be served in ballooned or long tulip glasses, and liquors should be served in small glasses. Evidently, it is important where beverages are stored and how they are prepared. For this reason, cleanliness of the bar floors, counters and shelves has utmost importance. Glasses should be checked for size, count and cleanliness. Bottle stocks should be regularly checked and bottles should be stored on shelves in an orderly fashion. You should check the freshness of the items you use. Before closing up the bar, check the used bottles and put them back into their places. Clean the tools and equipment and put them back into their places as well. Clean the counters and shelves